Okay. Welcome to Shop Talk, where we chat about what's going on in our businesses right now, what's exciting and what's challenging. When something exciting happens, we want to ensure we're taking a moment to recognize and celebrate our successes. And when things are challenging, talking through them to gather each other's perspective is often so insightful.
If you're going through any of these challenges at the moment as well, we hope that by sharing openly, you know you're not alone, and that as business owners, we're all navigating this crazy journey together. So, welcome to this month's Shop Talk. I feel like life in business has been a roller coaster. I've been
You've been in
doing my
Africa.
whole travel around the globe and catching my breath for 2 seconds when I'm home.
And taking showers on
And,
airplanes.
as one does, as one does.
Okay, can I ask a total amateur,
Yes.
this might not make me look very good. To fly that Emirates itinerary, where did you depart from?
So
Like what was the itinerary of that journey?
I did Johannesburg, Dubai, LAX.
So was it Dubai LAX that you were on that in that suite?
Yeah, well, both. So the A380 was the plane for both of those legs, but the first flight was like 8 hours, and then the second flight was 16 hours.
Mhm.
So I was crossing my fingers and toes that I would be able to upgrade for the 16-hour portion, because 16 hours I just feel is you can do so much and
Yeah.
make sure
Yeah.
you get to use all of the amenities and whatnot. But it was the exact same plane for both of the legs.
So did you select that route specifically? Because what I have learned and why I have never leaned fully into the points and the trying to get this business class, but not this business class is because it's not just business class or first class on Emirates. It's this specific airplane on this specific route is what I want. And so if you're really into that, or if that's an experience that you're looking for, it most likely isn't going to be the most direct route you could fly. Like you kind of have to make that a part of the experience. Like for LA, you're lucky that you have such a major airport.
Right.
Lucky because LAX
Lucky.
also sucks. It used to be my
Yeah.
airport, but, but you have a lot of routing and connections. But from Des Moines, I would have to go so far out of my way to even get on that route. So my
Yeah.
question for you is did that just work out and you were like, oh, Emirates, yes, please? Or were you looking for that because you wanted that experience?
I mean, I think that I go through so many scenarios in my brain when I'm considering what to pull the trigger on when I'm booking flights. And to be fair, it's only been the last couple of years that I'm getting to be a little bit annoying about it. And it's also becoming such a big thing for me to figure out not only just, hey, do I want to lay flat? How do I want to lay flat? What are the different
Yeah.
things available to me, and how am I going to maximize my time and my points and my money and all of these things? What's worth it? And so I'm definitely becoming a snob about it. But I think that for me, when I'm flying, especially from the West Coast and going to Europe and or to Africa, I have such a level of respect for airlines like Qatar and Emirates that add to the experience that I'm fine. I know that they're not the shortest, quote unquote. But because they're one-stop options, which I think matters more to me than overall distance, is if I can fly to Africa and only have one stop, that's ideal. And so doing the Middle East routing with either Qatar or Emirates allows for one stop, which is great. And their product is so superior. So that's a big thing to me now is if I'm going to have this experience, if I'm going to put either money or points towards it, I want to really freaking enjoy it, because to me, it's part of the whole experience. And so Emirates has kind of been on my short list of, I still need to experience this. When's it going to work? And so funny slash not so funny story is when I was booking flights for going to Africa, I kind of was a little bit limited in dates I needed to fly in and out and what have you. And so I didn't have a lot of flexibility, and pricing wise, business class was stupid. And points wise, nothing was available for less than 700,000 points. It was just being very obnoxious, right? And so I had originally,
What's stupid pricing? Like 10 grand, 12
yeah,
grand? Is that
yeah.
okay? Yeah.
And so I had originally booked Emirates in economy on the way there, hoping that like, because Emirates allows you, if you book the flight, to upgrade with points, like in certain windows, there's this many available, etc. And so I'm like looking at the business class and I'm like, well, there's plenty of seats available. I'm sure they're going to open up for points. But I book an economy for like going there. And then I'm just like waiting for like a month or so. And then I get nervous because then I'm like, oh God, what if
You
I'm
don't
stuck
really want economy.
now that I'm a snob, right? So I got super nervous and I just refused to wait. And so I canceled my flight out there and ended up booking on Turkish Airlines, which is also like,
You go
it's
through Istanbul a lot.
yeah,
I
because
follow you.
again, it's that nonstop LAX to Istanbul, which gets
Yeah.
like the big part of it out of the way. And Istanbul has like one of the best lounges, I think, in all of Europe. And
Hmm.
so because I knew I had like a 6 hour layover or something, it's like, let me put myself in a really nice lounge, let me get great food, all of those things. So it seemed like it wasn't going to be Emirates, but it was going to be a really great experience. So I switched that. I still had Emirates on the way home. And I had booked that flight with points. And then I was like, what if it's possible to upgrade to first class with points? And it wasn't available. It wasn't available. It wasn't available. Literally, I'm sitting in the lobby of the lodge waiting to go to the airport, to the like little Kruger airport to fly to Johannesburg. I check one last time. It's available for points to upgrade. So
Wow.
I was like done and done and done. Um, I transferred points from my Amex card to Emirates because I don't just have like a ton of Emirates points just sitting in Emirates because I don't ever fly them. And then was like, bring it on, baby. So that's kind of like the unexpected part of it. I wasn't actually expecting to be able to do the first class experience.
Okay.
Business class is still great, but like how often do you get
So
the first class
you
experience?
booked economy on the way home with points on Emirates, and then you upgraded to that first class suite with points. Everything was points.
Yeah, no, but on the way there, I had booked economy. On the way home, I had booked business. They had business
Oh, okay.
available points.
Okay.
So I booked with points and I upgraded with points.
Okay. Yeah. Which
So
is,
I
you
just used
can't
points.
always do that. Like, there's just so
No.
much like finagling. And
Yeah.
so everything that you just described, I would have lost patience like halfway through and just been
The
like, I'm
amount of
just
time
booking
I
the flights that
probably
I
spent
want.
on these flights, if I time tracked myself and if I charged myself an hourly rate for the amount of wasted hours that I was online trying to figure this all
Hmm.
out, would be stupid. Like somebody would slap me. And there was times like I have done this before, like spent all of these hours and then ended up literally the last time I flew Qatar and I was just so set on the Q suites and I couldn't find any other like comparable business class that I could use points for and I couldn't use points and I just like I spent all those hours and then I ended up just putting it on my credit card and I was so pissed that I had also wasted those hours
Yeah.
and didn't even get a deal or be able to use points. So that this time at least I was like no money came out of my pockets, but there was certainly time wasted, quote
Yeah.
unquote, but I
Uh-huh.
got what I wanted. And so I feel good about it.
What, every time I look at points, and I'm probably just doing everything wrong, the amount of points that they want for the flight, like I would rather just pay for it. Like it just is, it's always like an obscene amount of points. And so I don't know if I just don't have enough points that an obscene amount is not offensive, or if I'm just not finding good deals. But like people who are always going on, well, you always book with points. I know you do, and I'm a little bit annoyed watching you to be honest with you.
Yeah, yeah,
Because I don't
yeah. I
feel like,
mean,
I think you have a lot of points
yeah,
because I know you do, and you have a really good airport. I think that's my other problem.
that is, yeah. And the better people who it works better for, like especially going that direction at least, are East Coast. Like if you
Yeah.
live in Atlanta or New York or
New
something like
York.
that, that's also better because you know some people who are really like anal about it, like they're repositioning themselves to like get to the airport and then doing all the things. And like, listen, I have a limit of if it doesn't make sense point wise, like it's just a stupid decision, even though I have a lot of points, I will spend the money and quote unquote save the points because I know I can use them just forever in a day.
Yeah.
So there is a limit to like the points I will spend on it, but I also am in a great position that I do have like points to play with and stuff like
Hmm.
this. And
Yeah.
like I have not yet, like I buy my family's flights, but they don't fly business. And so like when we're going on our family's vacation, like I'm not booking 4 business class tickets. I'm like, we're
Hmm.
going to Costa Rica next week and we are all sitting in economy, getting our ass to Costa Rica and we're fine. Right. So
Hmm.
this is just like my special treat when I'm flying by myself.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it was a treat.
Well, I mean, no, now, like, obviously, flying in that first class suite is already exciting, but now understanding that you literally got that upgrade on your way to the airport, that it wasn't something that you had like planned for weeks ahead, even more explains like your giddy smile on
So I was like,
Instagram
I couldn't even be everybody around me. It was the people who just do that and pay twenty
all the
thousand
time.
dollars for their flight. So they're just like, no,
Dude,
I
this chick.
literally came home. I asked for extra pajamas for my best friend and my husband. Like,
Did they give them to you? I bet they
I
did.
have extra amenity kits. I asked to do all the things. I ate about 7 times.
Yeah,
Like
as
I
you
just did it
should.
all because I'm like, and I told them especially, I was like, hey, this is so cool for me. I want to do I made them explain my suite every like in both flights, even though I had like just flown the same airplane. I had them do the whole thing
Tell me
again.
again.
Do it
Just
all.
in case one flight attendant like has a little tip that the other one didn't share.
And I feel like I was grateful because I mean, listen, they're in the service industry. They're all about customer service, especially at that level. So they appeased me. Like they were just excited for me. They were giving me all the bells and whistles and the extra and the little like checking on me and winking. And so I
Thank
feel
goodness
like,
they were like supportive of your energy and
yeah.
not like, oh God, not another one of these ladies.
So I was really stoked and it was a cool experience. I was happy to kind of like share it, hopefully in a way. Here's another thing. This is random and not really related, but it just reminded me of something because most of the time people are super geeked and excited for me. I had this one comment on my Instagram and she was like, I triggered her somehow. She woke up and saw my post and was like, why can't you just have this experience and keep it to yourself? Like you make people feel bad for like, they save up just to like be able to fly somewhere in economy and hear you. And I'm like, whoa, whoa, whoa. Like, where do I start? And so I took a beat and I was just like, whatever's going on in her life and behind these screens, I don't even know. Maybe it has nothing to do with me.
You
Also, I
also
feel
worked
like
hard to be able to do that.
yeah, yeah. But I'm like, you must not even follow me. Because what do you think I'm on here doing? Sharing my backpacking experience through Europe. I'm sharing luxury travel because I sell luxury travel. This is the product, number one. And whether it's informational, inspirational, aspirational, whatever the case may be, like that's the point of marketing. That's what I'm doing. I actually really enjoyed this experience. And if you're not happy for me or don't want to see it, just scroll on by and live your life. But you wanted to write a paragraph, and so therefore I'm writing you 2 paragraphs back.
So if
That
you, that's the first class suite, right? So if you
yes,
are in business class, it's a step down.
it's a step down. Now, if I had never had this first class experience, it's a fine business class. Like,
Mhm.
but it just feels like most other business classes
Yeah.
in
Okay.
terms of like the seat and the configuration and all of that. The one perk is that they have that the bar that you can kind of go stand
Mm,
on, be,
cool.
and be
Cool.
social, that part of thing. But other
Yeah.
than that, it feels more like a regular business class.
Cool.
Yeah.
Cool. Um, I think the coolest thing I've ever booked for clients, obviously not myself, are the Q suites, like where
Yeah.
you have like
Yep.
four business class folks traveling together and you can like take down the walls and it like
You
creates
can
a
have
little,
like a whole bed. Yeah. And like
like a
little
whole suite
pod thing,
for your group.
which is
Hmm.
super cool. Yeah,
Yeah.
I've only flown Q suites by myself, so I haven't been able to do the like, oh,
Right.
you're with me and whatnot, but that would be
Yeah.
super cool. And also, if you had kids and you were the type of person who did that for your family, which I am not, that would also be a really cool experience because that's the thing. I'm not putting my 3-year-old up there and he's going to sit in my lap. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because that's
Yeah.
what he's going to do.
Yeah.
So,
Exactly.
no,
Yeah.
thank you.
Oh, there's room over there, Mom. Can we snuggle?
Right.
Like, no, get in your
How
own
close can I
chair.
be on top of you? And no, we're not paying for that. So, anyway.
Well, I'm so glad that it was as fabulous as it looked. That's
It
incredible.
really was. It really was. Yes. It was the cherry on top of a good Africa experience overall. The conference, good in, good in whatever. I feel like time
Good in a
tells.
conferencey way.
Good in a conferencey way.
Yeah.
Um, the safari experiences, the other parts of South Africa that I had an opportunity to visit, all of those were positive. Reminds me why I love South Africa. Every time I go, I'm just still
I'm
thinking it's
obsessed.
fabulous and
I love
why
it.
isn't everybody here and yada yada
Agreed.
yada.
Maybe we
So
should just move there.
we should. I mean, at
I
least here.
I think we would both be living our best lives in South
Yeah,
Africa.
100%.
Have you done astrocartography?
What is that?
Well, I just discovered this because of my super woo friends. Um, you put in like your birth date and time and like, how all the things line up when you were born, and it tells you the places around the world where like would be best for you to live. And what was fascinating about this, who knows if it's true, my friends put in theirs and they were getting like Denver and Portland and Austin, like places here. Put in mine, all of mine were international. And I
There
was
you
like,
go.
that
Listen.
is amazing. That is amazing. So mine were, well, so then I started like putting it into Chat GPT. And I think you can ask, like, there's different places it recommends, but based on what you're looking for. So, like, do you want to
Mm.
find the place to live where you're going to be like most successful in business, or like most like authentic to yourself and your energy, or like
Mhm.
what does success look like? But then I was like, well, I got a whole nother family. Like, we can't just live where I'm living my best life. What about them? So then I was like, well, where are my husband and I going to be best? So I was like, I went down a real deep Chat GPT rabbit hole. But South Africa was one of the ones on the list for me.
Nice.
And I've always felt that. I've
Yeah,
always said I
yeah,
want to live in Cape Town.
yeah. Like
So,
it might be a precursor of what's to come. Like,
yeah.
you know, you never.
Nobody will be surprised when I'm like, coming in from Cape
Yeah.
Town live. I live here now.
Oh,
Oh,
geez, I love it. So while I
amazing.
was gallivanting around South Africa and taking showers at 40,000 feet, what were you up to?
So I genuinely don't remember what we talked about last time. Um,
It feels like lifetimes ago, but it was
mhm.
just a month.
So it was in April, but did I tell you that my employee that I hired about 10 months ago put in her 2 weeks?
No.
So we were transitioning out of that. Yeah.
Oh,
So she was doing part-time work for me. So I hired her in August. She was the
yeah.
second employee that I brought on board. And we knew from the beginning that she was going to be doing this work about 20 to 25 hours a week, only when necessary. Like, there's a lot
Yeah.
going on. So more like 20 hours a week, on the side of a full-time job.
Oh,
And
so
like,
she had a full-time job
he
already.
had a full-time job.
Okay.
And so from the beginning, I like during our interview, and then like we had a follow-up call, and I was like, you know what you're agreeing to right now. She was like, I absolutely know what I'm agreeing to. And I could tell that she did, because
Mm-hmm.
I have opted into working 60
Mm-hmm.
to 80 hours a week intentionally, because I was doing it for a purpose. So like, I understand the desire that some people are like, yes, this is what I'm looking for. This is what I want.
Yeah.
And I was like, because we're really excited about you. Like, we've loved to meet you and we want to bring you on board, but I just want to make sure that like,
Yeah.
so her long story long, her full-time job just has really ramped up in intensity in the last few months, and it's just gotten to be too much.
Mm.
Um, and some things are shifting. So there's also some personal things going on. And so she just, it was kind of this simultaneous, like, simultaneous emotions of like, I'm heartbroken to leave the team, but then she phased out over 2 weeks. And so I talked to her like during offboarding, and I was like, how are you feeling? And she was like relieved. And I was like, good, then you made the right
Yeah,
decision.
the right decision.
Like,
But yeah,
if it was just getting to be too much, then
yeah.
thank you, like you have to do what's best for you.
Yeah.
Um, and so that, we have talked with so many people on the podcast, about working with folks who are not based in the US.
Yeah.
And I've never personally done that. I did it once through an agency. So it
Okay.
was very like project-based work, and I never did it. It was actually for the Hive, like to build the initial database for the Hive. So very, very project, like this is the project when this is done, and it
Right.
wasn't like a onboarding someone into the culture of your company kind of thing. It was just very like admin database project work. And I would say my experience with that was like pretty mediocre. And I've worked through a lot of different agencies, but like something in me this time was like, I'm feeling a little bit of payroll pressure.
Mm,
Like us three were working together really, really well, but I wasn't like with the commissions and the fees and with the cash flow and everything, like it wasn't like payroll was starting to create a tiny bit of stress for me. Like I wanted just to
mhm.
have like a little bit more of a buffer every month.
Right.
And I was already thinking about this before she let me know that she was going to be transitioning out, and I didn't really know the solution. So the one solution I was going to ask her is if we could take her from an employee to an IC, because she wasn't really acting as an employee by that time. Like she
Right.
wasn't working during the day hours. Like she knew what she needed to get done. She got it done. And I was like, well, the whole purpose of an employee is more to have like a little bit more control over when you're available and your time and whatnot. And I was like, so we're working well together, but maybe we don't need the employee status. And that adds a lot of extra like payroll taxes and stuff like that. Um, but that was gonna adjust things in a very minor way, right?
Right.
Like a few $100s a month or something. And so then when she let me know she's going to transition out, I was like, well, maybe it's time to try
Mm,
some of these companies I've heard about that are sourcing candidates from overseas. So I connected with an agency that works primarily with Filipinos, not only Filipinos. I also connected with an agency that works with candidates based in Central and South America. Um, and I discovered two different business models in my journey on this
okay.
journey interviewing these companies.
Yeah.
The business model that is most standard is that you are in touch with an agency helps you find a candidate, but then that agency is even when you on like hire the candidate and you say yes, that agency is always that middle person,
Mm,
always.
okay.
And
It doesn't
so
go
like
away.
your
Yeah.
payments are going through them, their employment is through them. And so there's
Yeah.
it's there's no one saying that you can't bring them onto your team and make them feel as if they are a part of your team, but there's like always this other
Somebody there.
like third
Yeah.
wheel.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's the situation that I've had in the past, that it was just never overly positive. And so it just kind of made me feel a little bit nervous, because now I am looking to fill a role that is, I'm wanting it to be more long term.
Right.
I'm wanting to have someone who really feels committed to this, to the team and the position. So this other agency that I spoke to, they don't operate like this at all. They actually operate more on a business model of like you pay an upfront finder's fee,
Mm,
and then because an agency, that's the other part. The way that they make their money is you pay the salary through the agency, they keep a cut and
right.
give the
Got
rest
it.
to the worker.
Mhm.
So the worker's not actually earning everything that
Earning
you
what you're
pay.
paying them. Yeah.
So this other agency, they take a finder's fee up front. So I think it's $2,500. They source the candidates for you. And when you hire the candidate, they're out. You pay the
Okay.
candidate directly, they are your IC, and like they'll make sure that you get a good candidate and that you onboard somebody, but the payments aren't run through them. Like they're
Okay.
your hire. So it's more of like a finder's fee or like a
Is there
headhunter kind
something
of.
in place that like assures, like, what if you have to go through like three or four candidates until one sticks?
So they give you 5 candidates at a time to interview, and
Okay.
they give you kind of in groups of 5. So I think I got 6 total, 6 or 7. I interviewed 5, and then I had 3 do like my test that I always have
Yeah.
them
Yeah.
do, and then
Mhm.
2 were really great, and I actually hired 2. So they recommend that you hire 2 to have like a legitimate 60 to 90-day trial just in case
Yeah.
one doesn't work out.
Oh,
And I was like, I'm just gonna hire 2. I just had like a new idea for how to like distribute the work. So I'll
yeah.
tell you
Okay.
about that in a
Okay.
second. So
Yeah.
so this news that was really sad
Yeah.
has like opened up a lot. It's like it's I wouldn't say that it's opened up space for me to think about more things, because I have a lot more work back on my plate right now, because it just takes time to onboard people. So
100%.
like
Yeah.
the last couple weeks I've been up until
You've
midnight,
been
like
feeling it.
creating new proposals in Travefy.
You're
Like
like,
I
I
haven't
thought I had outgrown this,
yeah,
and here it is.
I
Yeah.
haven't been researching restaurants and confirming dining reservations and building proposals in Travefy for more than 2 years. And that's what I've been doing the last few weeks.
Yeah. It's
So
the
that
front work
it's not opened up like space
yet.
in my day, but
Yeah.
it has, it just feels like if I'm going to make any shifts in my workflow and my delegation and how I structure the team, it should happen now. So I'm
Right.
kind of taking advantage of that opportunity. So then I think after 60 or 90 days, if it doesn't work out, then you kind of start the interview process over again.
Okay.
Um, So I'm not experiencing that. Like so far, it's been great. But
Wow.
that's what I went forward with is this other company that I feel like it's more like almost like a headhunter or like a
Yeah, yeah.
find
No, I
yeah.
mean, and so do you tell them kind of like, here are the skill sets I'm looking for, or here's like, do they come with like an idea? I mean, obviously they're not like in the travel industry, but kind of like what do they come to the table with like knowing how to do or like
So
skill?
different.
Okay.
So the company who started this, and Kate Sullivan was actually the one who connected me with this company. They're lawyers at heart. So a lot of their connections are like former or like paralegals in the Philippines,
Okay.
for example. So, but I have a very descriptive, like very detailed job description for this position because I hired Aaron 10 months ago, right?
Yeah.
That I put on Indeed previously. So I just gave them that. I was like, I'm
Mhm.
looking to fill the same exact position as I was before. And I tweaked it very slightly, but it didn't need to be tweaked a lot.
Yeah.
Um, and I just really highlighted like attention to detail, attention to detail, attention to detail. And then I really tested that like with the tests that I gave them.
Mhm.
And two of them did great. And one of them, I was like, oh no,
This isn't it.
no, you missed all the details that are missing from that itinerary. Yeah. So, but that's why that test is so important, is because she actually interviewed the best.
Wow.
Uh-huh. Yep. She
Oh,
interviewed the best and performed the worst on the test. Uh-huh.
that is fascinating.
Yep.
That is fascinating.
Yep.
Wow. Yeah, you're right. I mean, yeah, it's like, okay, that's great, but actually the work is most important at the end of the
It
day,
is.
you
Yeah.
know?
And one of the women that I hired, she interviewed like really shy. She's a mom in her 40s. Her father-in-law like owns a legal firm, but he's going to retire. So now she's kind of like, what do I do? And she just wants to pick up her kids from school. And I was like, me too. Like,
Yeah,
we can
yeah.
do that,
Same.
you know?
Yeah.
And so she works a little bit slower because she's just trying to make sure everything is right. And I'm like, but you're in it for the long haul. You
Yeah.
know, so like
Yeah,
there's so much that like you can try to understand from someone in an interview, but when you really see their quality of work, like that's what you need to know, really.
100%. 100%. So are they both hired for a specific amount of hours or you can kind of
So previously I had Aaron doing everything that was related to Travify proposals. So new proposal from a DMC comes
yeah.
in, like build out from scratch this new trip in Travify. Um, but then her Travify work would kind of stop there. So as clients made selections, as we would confirm services, as we would prepare final itinerary stuff, Tori would take that over. So Erin
Mhm.
just had like that grunt work up front with Travify.
Yeah.
Then she had all dining research recommendations. She would prep the email, send it to the clients. Here are suggestions. What do you want to book? She would confirm the bookings. She would put restaurants into Travify. Um, and then she was doing all emails. So Bon Voyage emails, checking in, welcome home, hotel VIP emails, all the emails. So think just like Travify dining emails. That
Mhm.
was basically her job. So my idea to split and differentiate, and I don't know why I came up with this, but I was like, I want to bring on two people and I want one person to own Travify.
Mm.
They do everything in Travify. So now Belle is doing everything in Travify. Proposals, we confirm a hotel, she adds it in. We confirm restaurants, she adds it in. So Paolo, the second one, he's doing all the dining research, all the dining emails, confirming all the bookings, and he's going to do all the emails, the hotel emails and all that stuff as well. But once the restaurant is booked, it goes directly to a folder for Belle to add into Travify.
Mm.
He doesn't touch any of that. She owns Travify. So she does the info and docs. She's gonna do the prep for all the final itinerary stuff. She's doing the initial proposal. She's doing the confirmations. Like she owns Travify. So if there's a question about Travify, there's one person to go to and to talk to her about it and not three or four of us.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
his work is all like research, like dining research, dining bookings, looking at like he'll look at the itineraries to set up the emails, but he's not actually creating anything in Travel. He doesn't even have a Travelify login. That's how much he's not doing Travelify.
It's like what
He
if any of you guys know
doesn't need
how
it.
like you get around the workaround with Travify and
Oh,
how they make your life a living hell is if you give somebody else your Travify login and they log in and you're logged in, it gives you this like 5 second delay telling you that like
it's
you're
awful.
essentially like
I know. It's
cheating
awful.
the system and you need to like pay them 72 million more dollars to add a person to your Travify. And I'm like, they effing don't have their own business. They're literally just putting in details. Like, I'm not going to freaking pay for them. So stop telling me this. But I get so damn annoyed every time I see that like countdown and I'm just like waiting, like,
I know.
and I'm
I know.
pissed. I know it's
I
Ellen,
know.
but I'm still pissed.
I know.
Why are you
I
doing
know.
this?
And every once in a while, I'll know that they're doing their own work and I'll be like, guys, I really need it. And I'll just like send a message in Slack. I'll be like, guys, I really need it for like 20 minutes.
Yeah.
Please. I'm trying to like do a final, final
Yes.
itinerary
It's
walkthrough
so
or
annoying.
something.
Travify,
Um,
listening, freaking figure out a better plan. That's so annoying. But anyway,
it's kind
that's
of like Netflix, like we're trying to cheat Netflix and Netflix finally
yeah,
figured
but
it
that's
out.
not even this. Like, yeah, it's like if I had another advisor, I get it, but I'm already paying for somebody who's literally they're all my trips. So stop.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um,
So
I
that's
like
how I'm delineating it. They are both 20 to 30 hours a week because I'm actually going to start giving Paolo some marketing admin. So instead of having Olivia schedule things and copy paste
this needs
captions
to
and
be done.
later,
Right.
and like he actually has already a little bit of experience doing that marketing admin kind of stuff for
Nice.
other jobs. And so I was
Okay.
like, perfect, Olivia, would you like some help? And so I'm actually that I've never had help with outside of like I've always just had like one marketing person who does everything, but she's so good at content that I actually want to like give her more
Yeah.
content time and less marketing admin time.
Right.
Um,
And it's like
so
the cost of the task, right? Like,
mhm,
pay less to get
exactly,
that done.
exactly, yep, exactly. So far it's working well. And speaking about like an opportunity to like look for more like workflow optimization efficiencies for anyone who's ever drafted my emails. So like whenever someone new comes on my team, I'll always have them draft the bon voyage and the welcome home and the hotel emails. And then I'll go look at it and review it. And then I'll officially schedule it so that it goes out. And then once we do that for a few months and it's like, I'm not making any more changes, like they've taken the feedback, they're doing great, then I'll just let them like schedule it directly.
Yeah.
But to do this, it requires access to my inbox. And if you have access to my inbox, you have access to my entire drive. And if you have access to my entire drive, you have everything.
Mm.
And so I've always just kind of like closed my eyes to this in the past because I didn't know another solution. Um, I found a solution and I literally found it 3 hours ago this morning and I was like dancing around my kitchen. So there's this new thing in Google Docs, and I'm pretty sure it's new because when you go to Google Docs, here, I'm actually going to add it. Brianna and I are sharing a doc right now. Um, so I'm going to describe this. If you go on a Google Doc and you go to insert and then building blocks, there's like a little blue dot by it. And I'm pretty sure that that means like this is new. So
Okay.
like if I looked for this, I think I have looked for this like a year ago and it
I've
wasn't
never
even
seen
an
this.
option.
So
Yeah,
yeah.
exactly. So if
Yeah.
you go to insert down to building blocks and choose email draft, then look at this thing that just pops up on our,
Yeah.
okay. So now let's enter, I'm just going to enter like your email, Brianna at Milk and Honey. Is it Milk and Honey Travels?
Uh-huh.
Okay. Then, so you can see the to, the CC, a subject line, and then you can write the body. And now let's imagine that Paolo can draft all the emails like this. He can put in who we're sending it to. He can put in the subject line. He can use my email templates to set all
Yeah.
this up, but like he can actually get it all set up without getting into my inbox. Now, this little blue Gmail icon that's in
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
top left,
Mhm.
you just click on it and it opens up a draft from your inbox and you just click send or schedule as if you're in your inbox.
What?
Here, I'm going to send this to you just like as a test. So you're going to get an email. Whoops.
Okay.
Yeah, it just sent. And so now I will go to my inbox and it's in my outbox. I can see it. I can go find it in my inbox. And you're going to see an email that comes in from me. And you
That
won't, you can't tell that I didn't just do it directly from my inbox.
Yeah. Okay. This might be a game changer.
Isn't that amazing?
This is fabulous. I mean, listen, Kelsey does have like, yeah, we always joke like you could literally take my
Yeah.
identity and go off and live in Bahamas because the amount of
Well,
access,
don't go to Cape Town because we'll find you there.
yeah. The amount of access you now have is pretty, there it is,
Yeah.
ladies and gentlemen, in my inbox right now.
Yep. And there's literally nothing about that email that was like, oh, this was sent in a bit of a different
No,
way, right? Like nothing.
no.
Yep. Except my signature is not there. So when he drafts it, I will like he'll need
Have
to
like a
include my
signature.
signature
Okay.
in the, but that's easy, done, fine.
Yeah.
No big deal.
This is lovely.
Isn't this amazing? So not
Yeah.
only can I train him on all the emails and then be able to look through them like boom, boom, boom really quickly, um, then they can also be directly sent and scheduled from here. Because I always imagine like, okay, I'm going to train him again. He's going to draft them all, and then I have to copy paste. I have to actually go copy paste who it's from, copy paste the subject schedule. You know what I mean? It's like then it's just like I might as well just do this myself.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. I'm very excited about this. This is fabulous. I know.
Yep.
So right now you're feeling what emotion?
Oh, so then so let's see. Aaron's last day was May 2nd.
Okay.
Belle and Paolo started on May 9th and 12th.
Okay.
During that week, my other employee informed me that she's leaving.
Shut the actual front door.
She's been with me for more than 2 years now.
Yeah.
And
I
she's,
remember I interviewed her.
oh my gosh, I forgot about that. Oh my
Yeah.
gosh, it's true. I had totally forgotten about that. You know, Tori.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Um, yeah, there's some personal stuff going on.
Yeah.
And we
But
chatted
what the
about it.
F, the timing of this?
I know. And I promise to you, when Erin put in her 2 weeks, Tori, this was not on Tori's radar. Like it
Oh,
wasn't on my radar either. Like it was a totally separate conversation that like came a couple weeks later.
yeah.
And I was like, okay, like thank you, for letting me know. Let's find a solution. Like this is what I'm kind of thinking through. But I kind of brought like the let's find a solution conversation like to her in a way of like, let's figure this out together. Like I don't know the answer. So I want to bring like let's talk about it together. And then the next day I got the official email of like, I'm putting in
Damn.
my 2 weeks. And I was like, oh, that wasn't the
That's
solution
not,
that I
no, that
thought
is
we were
not,
working towards. But I support her, like it's her
yeah,
decision. So I was
yeah.
like, okay. Um, and so
You are in the damn
two
weeds.
employees to zero in 5 weeks.
Yeah.
Yep.
Oh, crap.
Yep.
Ouch.
Yep. Yep.
Ladies and gentlemen,
Yeah.
here's entrepreneurship.
Yeah.
Wow.
Exactly. It is it's so tough because I actually said this to someone while I'm laughing and smiling now, you guys, but the last 2 weeks have been really hard.
Hmm.
Um, I said this to someone, I was like, I think I realize now that like the potential of a company, small or big, as soon as it's no longer you and you are reliant upon other humans,
Hmm.
it almost feels like when I'm setting goals that cannot be accomplished just by me, that must be accomplished with a team effort, there is this like huge gaping question mark of, well, that goal is great if everything goes smoothly and if all of us are operating at our highest capacity, and if we don't have any turnover, and if we don't have to onboard anyone new, and if someone doesn't, suddenly without much notice kind of leave the team, and then we're kind of, you know what I mean? Like there's all these factors that
Yes.
can come
Position.
up that
Yeah.
are so normal. Like this isn't an like both of them have really valid reasons for leaving, and I support their decision. I think that they both made the best decision for the
Them.
situation that they're facing.
Yeah.
And this is normal. Like this is a part of having a team and running a business. And it was just so eye-opening to me to be like, my goals mean nothing
Mm.
if my
Yeah.
goals are set with the assumption that we are all performing at our highest capacity and that everything is going according to plan.
Yeah.
And
And I
how
mean,
often does that happen?
never, not very often. And not for, I mean, there's always like, if it's happening now, then you just have to understand that there's going to be a point in the future. How near of a future is to be determined, but something is going to cause a ripple or a pause, or because that is just life. It's our own life, but then yeah, like you said, there we're counting on other people and their contribution to the goal, and
Yeah,
it is at a certain point, it's like, yeah, it's great that we can't do it all on our own, but it's the blessing and the curse because now
yeah,
the reliance
yeah,
on somebody else is something we have no control over.
yeah, yeah.
Mm.
So, I am literally like I've gone, I think as part of my as like a coping mechanism. Not only am I like just taking a huge step back and like re-evaluating how I have everything set up right now. So here's the positive start part of all of this. I have my systems set up in Asana so perfectly that onboarding two new teammates has been quite easy. I know
Nice.
exactly what they need to learn. I have SOPs and tutorials for all of those things. All of my workflows are already exist in Asana. And so literally all I had to do is go in and change all of them that were previously Aaron. Now they're Paolo or Bell. That's it.
Mm-hmm.
Like my system doesn't change. It's just who is assigned to is changed.
Mm-hmm.
But the
Yeah.
system still stands and all of my SOPs still stand. All of my tutorials still exist. And they were already connected to all of those tasks.
Yeah.
So all that's having to happen is to schedule like for a couple weeks, like multiple kind of 1 or 2 hour sessions and be like, okay, here's a new task. Go do it a few times. We'll look at it. We'll give you feedback. And like, so that part is actually like, I have that so well set up that onboarding is no longer just like a huge handicap for me.
Mm-hmm.
Um, it's just like the psychological impact of, losing
Right.
somebody who has been my right hand for 2 years.
And that's, yeah, that's the thing. So because, I mean, Tori was client facing as well, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So is the plan now to just kind of make it with you being the only client facing employee?
Um, well, I'm going to say this on the record and then provide myself permission to take it back in a few months.
Yeah.
My mom is joining the team.
Oh, good golly. You have so many. You got a
So
whole new business in the span of 3 weeks.
literally when you guys, when we started, I was like, did I tell you this? And she was like, what? And I was like, oh, yep, that's happened in the last 4 weeks. Not I can't make this up. She retired a few years ago. When I first started my business, so 9 years ago, she was helping me with final itinerary checks and helping me with things. Like she is my number one client. She is an ideal client. She does go on like 2 week super custom, super FIT like type trips once or twice every single year with my dad. So like not only does she know what I do, she's helped me in the past and
Yeah.
she experiences all of these trips on the ground. Like she
Yeah.
she is the traveler. So
That's it.
I get my attention to detail from her. Like
Mm-hmm.
she is very much I'm just the same as she is. And there's always been talk of like does she want to help me behind the scenes? Does she want to like actually talk to clients and plan trips? Because she totally could, like there's always kind of been that talk. And I've always just kind of been like, oh, can I work with my mom? Is she serious? She just retired. Does she just want to do this as a hobby? Whereas like Tori is working 30 hours a week and I
Yeah.
would have taken more if she wanted to work more. So that was always kind of my biggest hesitation is like,
Right.
I think it sounds fun to want to work with in a travel agency. Like there's a lot of people who think that they want to do what we do without fully understanding what it is that we do.
Right.
Um, and I was like, I don't not believe that you want to be a part of this. My hesitation is I really need like full-time support. And
Right.
is that really what you want to sign up for? And so when this happened, I called her and I was like, here we go. They're both gone, or they're both like leaving.
Wow. Yeah.
And I was like, all I need to know is, do you want to help for the next few months as a band-aid, like until I figure out a solution? Or do you want to like really go all
Do.
in and be a
Yeah.
part of the team? And I was like, I don't care the answer. I have no
Yeah.
emotion about which answer it is. I just need to know, because that will probably impact like what I teach you and how I teach you and like the order I teach you things in. Like there, if it was a band-aid, there are probably some things that I just would never teach her that I would just keep until I could really have
Yeah.
like a permanent, you know what I mean? So I was
Yeah.
like, I just need to know which one it is. And I think she's all in, but we're still in our first 2 weeks, guys.
Yeah.
So that's why I was like, oh, I really hope that we're both still loving each other after a few
Yeah.
months. Let's see how this goes.
Let me know how Thanksgiving goes.
Well, not on Thanksgiving Day, but like right after Thanksgiving, I'm flying to Grand Bayless and Los Cabos, so I can
Hey,
go recover there.
there you go. That was my spring break. Oh, well, Grand Velas and Puerto Vallarta, but same
Yeah.
difference.
Yeah. So, yeah, so everything is just, I'm literally going back to the basics of like last night, I spent 2 hours going through every single file in my Google Drive and like purging, being like, I don't need this random supplier attachment from 2017. Delete. I don't need these spreadsheets from 4 years ago that I don't use anymore. Delete. Like, really just like cleaning up, simplifying, optimizing. Um, it's not, yes, I should, like the Google Drive thing is like good to not have anyone in my inbox, but it's also just like simplifying. Like you need
Mhm.
access to Travify, so here's access to Travify. You don't need access to Travify, so you don't have the password because you literally don't need it. And just really like creating like super specific lanes so that everyone can just focus on their work. We all know what each other's doing. We all know how we support each other. Um, and just really like I'm going through every SOP and just being like, is this still true? Like I'm transitioning off of Travel Joy and transitioning into Turn. So some things do need to kind of be tweaked or updated, and some SOPs are like no longer valid. Like, nope,
Right.
that's not true anymore. I need to go re-record that. And then making sure that every single updated SOP and tutorial is linked in the task so that everybody always has what they need when they need it. And so I'm like really taking this opportunity of just like, let's go back to, I'm not going back to square one in a way of like, I'm rebuilding a business. I'm going back to square one in a way of like, I know my process. What is so beautiful is that my process is my process. How I plan trips fundamentally hasn't changed. The
Hmm.
way that I format an email or the way that I like the software I use to send an invoice has maybe changed.
Right.
But the foundational building blocks of my business are the same.
Yeah.
And so when suddenly somebody was no longer on our team and I was like, oh, I need to go do that. I need to go do that. I need to go do that. I didn't have this moment of chaos of like, I haven't done this in 2 years. I don't even know what to do. I was like, I got
Got it.
this.
Yeah.
I know exactly what I need to do because the process is it's straightforward.
Right. Right. And there's
Um,
systems in place, which
and
is
there are systems in place. And
so
that is why I'm not that's why I'm not totally in a puddle on the floor right now, is because the systems are in place. And so I can go into every single trip in Asana and see, oh,
yeah.
she had all the emails done through May, but they're not done in June. This is exactly where I need to pick up, and I need to pick up the slack. She had all the dining done through July, but not August. So I trained Paolo on August. She told me these things, but even though now that she's gone, if there's something that she didn't tell me, or if we need to check on something, everything is in Asana. So I
Yes.
can go find the information that I need.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I think that this is the message or the kind of like clarity that comes with obviously, being in business for this long, but also getting to a point where you have had the help, you have had but you learn to do it in a way that like it's not broken when somebody leaves. It's gonna, yes, take time for it to be running at its smoothest, but it is a matter of like, okay, this person and then this, and then everything is still working the same way because it's a system. It's not just all in your brain, figuring it out as you go. What needs to be done today? Where's this trip at? Like, there's none of that just like guesswork that
Hmm.
comes like creates chaos when you don't have systems in
Right.
place and everything documented and your workflow is very like tied up and stuff like that. So it's just a note for anyone listening that if this is not how you work or how you have things set up, even if it works now today, there will come a time where it will bite you in the ass.
Yeah,
So,
you just I think that there are two things that I've heard for a long time and now I'm experiencing them is the first is that no one is irreplaceable. And
mhm.
that's something that Jeremy always says at my host agency at Jet Set. And the second thing is just like, I don't even know that it's a phrase, but it's like, no one's gonna stay with you forever. Even
Yeah.
if they love their job, you've created the most amazing culture, you shower them with raises and bonuses. Like, it doesn't really matter what it is. Like, no one's gonna stay with you forever because it's not their business.
Hmm.
Um, and I think there are so many things we talk about, like starting a travel business. We watch so many people come in and be like, well, I just want to make a little bit of money. And then we make some money and we pay ourselves everything. And then we start getting bigger and we realize, oh, now I have all these business expenses that I never accounted for. And actually, whatever you want to pay yourself, you need to make double because then the
Oh,
other
yeah.
half is hiring and expenses and all the things. So that's a business mindset that I think a lot of people don't have automatically when they come into the industry. The other thing I'm learning is this mindset of like, instead of going in, I went into my first hiring experience of like, great, somebody's on board, they're performing well, they're doing great, awesome, she's gonna be with me forever. Now, when I hire, I am looking for the best candidate. I give you a task and I hope that you do well with it. I onboard you. I work you into our culture. We have a great working relationship, but I am under no assumption that you are going to stay with me forever.
Yeah.
And I am under no assumption that if at any point performance slips for any reason, that I can't find someone else to do the high quality of work that you're doing.
Hmm.
And I think that I've always kind of heard this, I've always known this, but now I'm actually experiencing it. And both of my employees have left within a 5 week span. And like, my business is great.
Yeah.
I've onboarded 3 new people. It slowed me down a little bit this month, but like, I am by no means like, feel like I'm facing doomsday. I just feel like, well, there was a bunch of stuff on my to-do list that's just going to have to wait a few weeks. But
Yeah.
that's all
Okay.
things
Yeah.
considered,
Not the end of the world.
So I
You
think
need to get
if
paid.
you haven't, if you have a team, start taking on this mindset of like, no one's going to stay with you forever. And I'm sorry to tell you this because I know your situation. You guys have been together for so long and no one's irreplaceable, right?
Right.
And if you haven't yet built a team yet, or if you haven't yet hired, like if you go into it with that mindset, I think will serve you well.
Yeah. Yeah. And you'll be okay. Yeah. You'll
And
be
you
okay.
will be okay no matter
Yeah.
what happens. Like your business is still your business. And if you're providing a really high quality service to clients and clients love working with you, then your business is your business. It will still be okay. It might just look a little different and it might kind of slow down a bit here and there, but like
You'll
it's
be
still gonna
fine.
be great.
Yeah. It's life. It's entrepreneurship. It's all the things.
Well, your update was more sexy and fun, but there's my update.
That's a big uptake, girl. I don't know if we've ever had a more like,
No, there are so many months that we're like, what happened? Nothing. I don't
what
know.
anything important, exciting. This
I
month, I'm like,
mean,
well, shoot, do we have 3 hours? Like, like, oh my God.
yeah, yeah. So yeah, I mean that's all I got for you.
That's enough.
Otherwise, I got a lot of people in Italy.
Yeah.
That's
There's that.
that's the actual truth. Everybody's in Italy.
So true. So true.
Yeah.
So true. Well, I am going to need, I am hiring in the next couple of months. So I'm going to give some thought and probably ask you some questions about this overseas situation,
Yeah.
to kind of consider it as an option and to what I do next and kind of like my decision-making process. I need to think about it sooner rather than later. I just need to give myself a little bit of space to do so. But
Yeah,
that is,
definitely let me know. I am happy to share like the contact information for the company. I can connect you to the actual salesperson that I spoke with. He was very like straight shooter, no bullshit
Mhm.
kind of guy, which I appreciate when you're
Nice.
trying to
Yeah.
figure out something like this. I can share a little bit more about the process, and I would say that their form where they ask what you're looking for is pretty basic. And so I would attribute a lot of my success in the fact that I had a very detailed job description.
Yeah. Okay, cool.
So that's something that I would probably like if you want to hire and kind of
Mhm.
what the position is, like to have kind of it's because I had that ready. It was just a quick like drip, 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 upload,
Very,
send me the
yeah.
candidates. And they sent me candidates within a week. It was less than a week.
Oh, wow.
So
Yeah.
that's how all of this happened so quickly because I had a call with him, was like, yep, this is what I want, paid. They sent candidates. I interviewed the candidates that same week, offered, onboarded. That's why all of this has happened since we last talked, because it went so quickly.
Yeah. Well, that's good. I mean, I like that.
Yeah.
Woo.
Awesome. Well,
Go take a
I hope
nap, girl.
that, yeah, maybe I'll get to fly in a first class suite, but before our next call. Not
You
really.
never know.
All right. Well, I hope next month is boring.
Yeah, me too. Yeah, just
Yep.
nothing to really update.
Just I got nothing.
Got nothing.
All righty.
Until then.
Until then.